The incredible journey of a homeless girl who saved a millionaire's life. An inspiring revelation. As the last rays of sunlight bled into the shadows under the freeway overpass, 16-year-old Lily clutched her tattered backpack close. The city above pulsed with energy and opportunity, a world so close yet unattainable. Just a child when her father, a decorated veteran, passed away, she carried his lessons like a shield: honor, hard work, kindness. To her, worth was measured not by wealth, but by deeds, and with every day, she proved that she could survive on hope alone. One evening, as she rummaged through the trash behind a closed restaurant, a stirring commotion erupted nearby. A soft glow turned to dark clouds swirling into the sky. Smoke twisted above the urban vista, and Lily's heart raced. Ignoring the danger, a mantra echoed from her father: save others, no matter the cost. That's how she found herself sprinting toward the smoke, her decision sparked by the memories of blind courage. When she arrived at the high-rise, a sense of urgency propelled her up the stairwell, lungs stinging from the acrid smoke creeping over her. Each step rang with a rhythm of fear and determination. She thought of who might be trapped inside, who could still be saved. Finally, she reached the penthouse. Its opulent door opened slightly, and inside lay Henry, a reclusive millionaire, unconscious on the plush carpet. The chaos was a jarring contrast to Henry's lavish lifestyle. He was a man wrapped in the luxury of privilege, and in that moment his world flickered like a dying candle. Kneeling beside him, Lily felt the warmth of his life beneath her trembling fingers. She was terrified, yet somehow the panic transformed into adrenaline. The responsibility of a life weighed heavily on her small shoulders. "Help is here," she called, her voice trembling through the thick smoke. She dragged him toward the door, and as they escaped, the blaring sirens of the fire trucks grew louder behind them. Out on the street, the world watched. Two disparate souls, an unnoticed girl and a forgotten millionaire, locked in a moment that would redefine their lives. "Thank you," Henry gasped, awakening to a reality that challenged everything he thought he understood. For the first time, he truly saw her as more than a homeless girl. The gratitude in his eyes held an honesty that was unfamiliar. Lily, once invisible, took center stage, and the world knew her name. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. As they began to share meals salvaged from nearby restaurants, a friendship formed. Each half-eaten sandwich shared felt like a bridge built between their worlds. Lily unveiled the pain and struggles stitched into the fabric of her life, a life filled with longing and loss that lingered since her father's passing. Slowly, Henry began to confront the biases he harbored, cracking the walls of his sheltered existence. Yet, outside their newfound sanctuary, reactions brewed like thunderstorms. Whispers followed Lily as she walked the streets. Some hailed her as a hero, while others gawked at the irony of her saving a man so wealthy. Could someone living beneath the concrete truly be a hero? The unease in the community ignited fierce debates over morality and worth. They stood at a crossroads. They had awakened to something much deeper than a mere friendship. Would their journey together melt the icy judgments of society? As they faced uncertain futures, the weight of their newfound bond hung heavy in the city air. Lily, a beacon of resilience, waited on the precipice of change, heart beating with both dread and anticipation, peering toward an uncertain horizon. What would come next? An entire world waited on the edge, yearning to know if two lives could truly intertwine, bridging the societal divides that shaped their paths. Henry watched Lily as she spoke, her eyes shining with stories of survival and dreams of tomorrow. He felt an ache in his chest, a stirring he hadn't encountered in years. Here was a girl who had endured so much, yet wore hope like a badge. They roamed the city streets together, sharing experiences that painted their worlds in hues once unfamiliar to each other. Days turned into weeks, and the city around them remained a spectacle. Henry was often invited to exclusive events, held at ritzy venues, but his heart was tethered elsewhere now. A drive to understand the struggles of everyday people surged within him. Watching Lily navigate her world with grace inspired him. One afternoon, he proposed a plan. How about we start something together? A community center, a safe space where people like you can find support? The idea rolled off his tongue excitedly, but he noticed a flicker of uncertainty in her expression. Henry, you're a millionaire. Why would you want to do this for me? Her voice was small, a whisper that carried the weight of doubt. Because you show me what it means to really live. You saved my life, Lily. This is just a way to pay it forward, he explained, his own voice catching in his throat. Though hesitant, Lily felt the warmth of his passion ignite a spark within her. More than the community center, it symbolized an opportunity to break down walls not just their own, but those that surrounded their worlds. They started planning, sketching ideas, and roaming neighborhoods. Henry's wealth opened doors, but it was Lily's perspective that transformed their vision. She shared stories of homeless families, of children scared to ask for help, and her heart filled with determination. Each interaction peeled back layers of privilege for Henry, transforming his understanding of the world beyond his high-rise sanctum. Yet, as they moved forward, not everyone was supportive. Whispers of scorn echoed in the air. What can a homeless girl teach a millionaire? They'd say. Crowds, once fascinated by their story, now bristled with skepticism and resentment. It gnawed at Lily, who had fought for validation all her life. One evening, as they gathered in Henry's penthouse to discuss their progress, she broke down. Maybe this was a foolish dream. Henry, people see me as a charity case, not a partner, she said, tears welling in her eyes. Henry rushed to her side. They don't define you. I see you, Lily. You've sparked something in me that I never knew existed, and we can prove them wrong together. His words bore a conviction that pulled at her heart. With renewed determination, they pressed on, launching their initiative to an audience filled with skepticism. The day of the unveiling arrived, and as they stepped onto the community center's stage, Lily's throat tightened. The crowd buzzed, unsure what to expect from two unlikely allies. Good evening, everyone, Henry began, but Lily felt herself outside her body, watching him speak, taking in the skeptical murmurs of the crowd. She could feel her stomach knot, fear wrapping around her as they awaited a reaction. Would this be another failure? But then, as if shaken loose by the honesty of their efforts, a hand shot up from the back. What makes you think you can help us? The voice called out, dripping with challenge. Lily's heart raced. Would she have the courage to take the mic, to stand for her people? This was at the moment they had prepared for. As she stepped forward, the silence settled over the room, hanging thick like fog. She thought about her journey, her father's voice ringing in her mind. Save others, no matter the cost. Because I am one of you, she declared, her voice confident as she took a deep breath. I know what it feels like to struggle, to feel hopeless. Together, we can create change. The energy in the room shifted, and for the first time, she felt seen not as a homeless girl, but as a beacon of hope for a community hungry for a voice. What would follow? Perhaps applause, or more challenges. As the crowd held its breath, Lily faced the unknown, a journey about to unfold. Would she rise to meet the future, or would doubt consume her once more? The moment lay poised between hope and fear, teetering on the edge of possibility. Lily stood there, heart pounding, the warmth of Henry's presence behind her as a comforting anchor. She could feel the eyes of the crowd on her, some filled with skepticism, others flickering with curiosity. A heavy silence hung in the air, punctuated only by the sound of her own heartbeat. She took a breath, steeling herself. This was the moment that could change everything. Together, we can create change, she repeated, letting the words linger, hoping to ignite a spark in the crowd. She caught a glimpse of Henry's encouraging nod, and it steadied her. Every word felt like it was forging a connection, carving out a space for understanding, for hope. But skepticism lurked within the audience. The questioner shifted in his seat, a tight-lipped glare painted across his face. Change. What do you know about our lives? He challenged, arms crossed defiantly. The hum of the crowd grew grittier, voices weaving doubts into the air. Lily's throat tightened, but she pressed on. I know what it's like to feel invisible, she replied, her voice steady yet filled with vulnerability. I know the worry of where you'll sleep at night, the embarrassment of accepting help when it's needed. I'm here because I care, because we want to build a place where you can find support together. Murmurs rippled through the crowd, a blend of skepticism and tentative understanding. Lily felt the slightest shift, an opening, a chance to connect. She shared her story, reflecting back to the dark days that had nearly taken her. Surviving isn't just about finding a roof over your head. It's about finding community, finding each other. Seeing her speak like that felt like a light cutting through fog for Henry. He watched as she transformed in front of them. Not just a girl desperate to become something more, but a voice carrying the weight of untold stories. He admired her bravery and felt pride swell within him. A woman in the front row stood, her gaze piercing through the tension. And what do you plan to do about it? She asked, her tone softer, yet still probing. Lily met her eyes, grounding herself in her purpose. We want to create a community center that offers resources, food, education, emotional support. A place where you can be heard and seen. Most importantly, a place where we can all come together. The crowd seemed to hang on her every word. Change won't happen overnight, but it starts right here, right now. We can create a space where no one has to struggle alone. A ripple of applause began to spread, but it was hesitant, unsure. It felt like a flicker of hope, but Lily needed to fan those flames. She looked into the eyes of the crowd, seeing their struggles reflected back at her. Let us make this a home for all of us, she implored, her voice rising with passion. Together, we can build what we've dreamed of. The applause grew louder, tinged with cautious optimism. Lily felt joy coursing through her, but also a lingering doubt. This was over, not yet. Just as things began to feel promising, another voice emerged from the crowd. But how do we know you'll stick around when things get tough? What if you leave us behind? That question sliced through her renewed hope. This was the fear she had carried for so long, abandonment. Would this dream falter, or could they overcome this doubt together? In that moment, she locked eyes with Henry, seeking his strength. He stepped closer, his voice low but firm. Because we want to give up, he declared, none of us can afford to. Lily turned back to the crowd, feeling the weight of their expectations, the heaviness of the challenges still ahead. I promise you, we're in this together. This is just the beginning. As Lily and Henry shared a glance filled with determination, they held their breath. Would this bond withstand the trials that lay ahead? With the crowd slowly warming to their sincerity, possibilities began to untangle like threads weaving into a tapestry of hope. But even as hope flickered, uncertainty hung in the air. What if their plans unraveled? The stakes were higher now than ever before. Would they confront the shadows of their pasts or be swallowed by them? Lily's heart raced. The journey ahead was both terrifying and exhilarating. How far would they go to make their dream a reality? As the crowd began to clap, a new resolve bubbled up within her. She would show them, come what may. And in that heart-pumping moment, the weight of the world rested on their shoulders, teetering on the edge of possibility. What would happen next, when the challenges of their new venture began to emerge? The sound of clapping faded into an anxious silence as Lily stood before the crowd, their hopes hanging delicately in the air. She could feel the weight of their expectations, the gravity of their lives pressing down on her like a heavy blanket. A shiver ran through her, but she forced a smile, reminding herself of the purpose that had driven her here. Henry stood beside her, embodying steadiness, a lighthouse amidst the waves of uncertainty. The initial wave of applause had stirred something in the crowd, but it was clear that trust wouldn't be given freely. The feeling was raw, like a freshly opened wound. "Thank you, everyone, for your support," Lily said, raising her voice, trying to sow the frayed edges of their confidence. "But we need to talk about the next steps. We want to hear from you. Your stories matter." Her heart thudded as she glanced around, searching for willing faces, any sign that they were open to sharing their thoughts, their struggles. A man with weary eyes eventually stepped forward. "I've lost everything," he said, vulnerability etched into his features. "What makes you think we can trust you?" Lily felt a wave of sympathy wash over her, and it was quickly joined by the ache of understanding. "Trust takes time," she replied softly. "When I was lost, I had to rebuild trust too. But it's vital for us to grow together. I know it's hard, but we can't face these battles alone." Another woman, with dark circles under her eyes, nodded slowly. "What if we fail? What if it all falls apart like it always does?" Lily grasped at her own fears, preparing to push through them, aware that every word mattered. "We may stumble, yes, but we'll pick each other up. That's what community is. We won't let anyone fall to the wayside." With that declaration, a murmur rippled through the gathered crowd. The tension shifted, and the fear of failure began to mix with the faintest hints of hope. More voices emerged. Tales of hardship, resilience, and dreams unspoken filled the air. As she listened, the stories intertwined, creating a tapestry of human experience. Lily soaked them in, the rawness of their truths igniting a fire within her. Their words were powerful, so much stronger together than apart. Each shared struggle was like a brick laid for the foundation of their vision, a community center built not just from nails and wood, but from love and shared history. Days turned to weeks. They gathered regularly at the local park, transforming it into a planning hub. Lily and Henry facilitated workshops, inspiring the community to contribute ideas about what they needed from the center. The group blossomed, brainstorming everything from job training programs to mental health resources. The energy was contagious. Everyone was involved, and suddenly, it felt less like a distant goal and more like an unfolding reality. Yet doubt still lurked. The whispers that came when the sun dipped low, adding shadows to their plans, crept into Lily's mind at night. She wondered constantly if they could truly keep it going. And soon, the practical concerns emerged: funding, logistics, and space. One evening, sitting with Henry at dusk, she finally voiced her worries. "What if it's not enough?" she asked, pulling at a loose thread in her sweater. "What happens if we can't find the funding, or if people lose interest?" Henry turned to her, his face lit by the fading light. "Lily, it's not just about the center. It's about the people we're gathering. They push through for us for each other. You've ignited something, and that's real." As they faced the dwindling light, a sense of determination anchored Lily. There was truth in what Henry said, but a knot twisted in her stomach. The fear that so many had shared weighed heavy on her heart. Could they really create something lasting? Before she could spiral too deep in her thoughts, her phone buzzed. A message popped up, shattering her reverie. It was an invitation to apply for a grant that could turn everything around. Her fingers trembled as she stared at the screen, a rush of excitement mingling with anxiety. This was their chance. Could they really pull it off? As hope surged within her, she felt a shadow of doubt flicker behind it. Was she capable of leading them through this new hurdle? The tension hung thick in the air. With the stakes now higher than ever, Lily took a deep breath, ready to take the leap. Would this grant be the key to realizing their dreams, or would it lead them down a darker path? As those thoughts swirled, she realized they were just beginning to uncover the true depth of their journey together. Lily couldn't shake the feeling that this grant was a life raft tossed into turbulent waters. The screen on her phone glowed brightly, illuminating her face with the promise of possibility. With her heart racing, she turned to Henry. "This could be it, but I don't know where to start." "Focus on what matters," he said, his calm voice grounding her. What do we need to showcase to get the community's heart into it? She took a moment to think. We need our stories. The people. We need them to see it's about more than just a building, it's about a lifeline, a space for healing. The following day, they called for a meeting. People from the community gathered in the park, the sun shining down on their worried but hopeful faces. Lily felt the same tension in the air as she had that first night. As they shared their ideas, she listened intently, absorbing each thought like fuel for a fire. Someone mentioned having a kitchen for cooking classes, while another dreamed of a garden for fresh vegetables. Each suggestion chipped away at her doubts, igniting a spark in her chest. When it was her turn to speak, Lily stood tall, her voice clear and steady. We have an opportunity to show what this center could mean for us. This isn't just about applying for a grant. It's about showcasing our heart. Our struggles, victories, and dreams will help define us. Together, we'll write our story. Gradually, the energy shifted from uncertainty to excitement. They split into smaller groups, brainstorming visuals and narratives to make their pitch stand out. Lily watched as ideas blossomed like flowers in spring, each one vibrant and full of potential. 4 nights afterward, Lily brainstormed and collaborated, poring over outlines, lists, and budgets with Henry. The more they worked, the more they morphed into a genuine team. But with every late-night session, her worries flared up. What happens if we send it in and nothing comes of it? She murmured as they huddled over her small kitchen table, papers strewn everywhere, coffee cups emptying quickly. Henry looked at her earnestly. Lily, we can't control the outcome, but we can control the work we put in. Make it honest. Make it ours. You've already built a community from the ground up. Remember how far we've come. Those words echoed in her mind as the deadline approached. Each moment felt like an eternity, filled with hope and pressure intertwined. Would it all align, or were they destined for disappointment once again? On the night before submission, Lily sat on her bed, surrounded by drafts and notes, the weight of uncertainty pressing down upon her. What she didn't expect was the influx of messages from the community, filled with enthusiasm and encouragement. These were more than just signatures, they were heartfelt declarations of support, a reminder of why they were doing this in the first place. The next day, with the sunlight streaming through the window, she felt a renewed sense of strength. They made their final revisions, tightening the language, emphasizing their mission, the essence of their community captured in every word. When they finally hit send, a sigh of relief washed over her. It felt like releasing a balloon into the sky, not knowing where it would land, but trusting it would find its way. But only moments later, Henriette's expression changed. Lily, we just received a call, there's been a complication. Her heart sank. What kind of complication? A sense of foreboding filled the room as he continued. They're asking for more detailed financials than we have. We need to respond quickly. If we don't, we might lose our chance. Panic surged within her, a storm brewing in her chest. How could they possibly pull this off? Every doubt, every fear came flooding back. Without missing a beat, her determination sparked. We'll figure it out. We have to. And as she grappled with the urgency of their situation, one thought spiraled in her mind. Would this be the turning point, or would they stumble before the finish line? With their dreams on the brink, the real test of their unity had just begun. The room was thick with anxiety, each breath a little harder to take. Lily felt the weight of the community on her shoulders as she and Henry stared at the emails stacked in their inbox. Time was ticking, and it felt like the walls were closing in. Okay, what do we need? She asked, voice steady despite the turmoil inside. Financial statements, and more specifics on our proposed budget. We need to show them exactly how every dollar will be used, Henry replied, his brow furrowed as he scrolled through their files. Okay, we can do this, Lily said, trying to convince herself as much as him. Let us reach out to everyone. They've helped us so far. Maybe they can help with this too. With no time to waste, they reached out to community members, asking for their input on budgeting ideas. Phone calls went out, and responses flooded in. It was amazing how quickly people rallied together, even when they themselves were struggling. Ideas poured in for low-cost workshops and plans for grant-funded equipment. Lily felt the pulse of support wrap around her, bridging the gap between despair and determination. It was as if the very air they breathed became infused with hope. Their kitchen workshop could be outfitted with donations instead of budgeted expenses. The community garden could be farmed by volunteers. As they worked late into the night, sheets of paper filled with numbers and dreams sprawled across the table. Laughter mingled with exhaustion. For every obstacle they faced, laughter seemed to be their best armor. What if we just gave them a basket of fresh veggies? Henry joked, I'm sure that would balance out the financials. Yeah, because nothing says trust us with your money like a zucchini, she chuckled, momentarily easing the tension. But as the laughter subsided, anxiety returned. They were racing against time, and deadlines loomed like shadows. Each tick of the clock was a reminder of their fragile situation. They weren't just fighting for a grant. They were fighting for a future, for dreams planted in fertile soil, waiting to grow. Suddenly, Lily's phone buzzed, breaking the thick silence. It was a text from Mrs. Jenkins, an elderly woman from the community who had become like a grandmother to Lily. I've got some old records here. Let us meet. Might help. Panic threatened to overtake Lily, but an unexpected rush of gratitude surged within her. Let us go, she said, practically dragging Henry out the door. The drive to Mrs. Jenkins' house felt eternal. Strange how a simple home could feel like a sacred place filled with wisdom and stories. When they arrived, the pleasant scent of fresh-baked cookies welcomed them like a warm embrace. Inside, Mrs. Jenkins greeted them with a radiant smile. I've been waiting for you lovelies. Sit down, sit down. I think I might have just the thing. She shuffled to a dusty old trunk, the sound of hinges creaking piercing through the warm air. Lily's heart raced as she and Henry exchanged excited glances. With every moment that passed, the gravity of what they were attempting seemed to shift. They could feel their sense of purpose tightening around them, like the embrace of a loving family. As she watched Mrs. Jenkins sift through papers, an unexpected voice of hope flooded through Lily. Was this finally the peace they needed? But just as they started to sift through old records, another message arrived this time. It wasn't a request for help, but a question from the grant committee. What will this center mean to you? What's the vision? You need to be concrete. Lily's heart pounded. This could change everything. If they thrived on clarity and heart in their proposal, could they channel that sincerity into their response? Henry, this is our moment, she exclaimed, determination igniting anew. Let us show them. Let us tell them our story like we've never done before. But as they began crafting their vision, doubt snuck in like a shadow, whispering doubts. Could they really showcase the raw, unfiltered truth of their community? As they wrestled with the core of their mission, the question echoed in the air. Could they find the courage to unveil their heart's desire? With the flame of hope flickering fiercely, Lily realized that the next step felt both terrifying and exhilarating. What lay ahead could either catapult them into the life they dreamed of or send them crashing down to the reality they feared most. Little did they know, the answers they sought were not only locked away in financials, but in the stories that wove their community together. Would they be able to breathe life into their dreams, or would the weight of doubt pull them under again? As Mrs. Jenkins rummaged through the trunk, the sound of crinkling paper filled the cozy living room, blending with the sweet aroma of cookies still warm from the oven. Lily leaned forward, excitement bubbling within her. She couldn't help but hoped that the contents of that trunk held something that could make a difference. There's got to be something in here, muttered Mrs. Jenkins, her brow furrowed in concentration. After a few moments, she pulled out a stack of neatly organized records and faded photographs. Here we go. This is a history of the center and its impact over the years. Lily and Henry leaned in closer, peering at the photographs of laughter-filled events, community gatherings, and children learning to bake. Each image was a breadcrumb leading to the heart of their mission. As Mrs. Jenkins continued to flip through the pages, Lily felt inspiration surge within her. This is it, Lily said, waving a photograph. It showed a group of children in aprons, beaming as they held up bakery creations. "We can use these. We can show the committee how much this center means to the community." Henry nodded, eyes shining with enthusiasm. "Yes, we can share personal stories from these events. This isn't just about money. It's about lives transformed." Their brainstorming quickly evolved. As they worked together, recording key events depicted in the photographs, laughter mixed with the weight of responsibility echoed around the room. Each story they uncovered felt important, like a thread weaving their narrative together, one that was rich with joy and resilience. But an undercurrent of fear persisted. What if their efforts fell short? What if the committee wanted polished statistics over emotional truth? Lily's thoughts threatened to sidetrack her, working hard against her heart. As they built their proposal, the question loomed large. Would these stories resonate in the sterile confines of a boardroom? Would they see the essence of their community, or would they be stuck behind numbers and charts? "Let's not forget what Mrs. Jenkins said about writing from the heart," Henry quipped. "If we tell our story in a way that reflects the love and effort we've experienced, then it can't be ignored." Lily glanced at Henry and Mrs. Jenkins, feeling grateful for their support. A sense of unity washed over her. They were a team, not just in task, but in vision. She didn't have to shoulder this alone. Hours passed in a blur, and the sun began to set, casting a warm golden light through the living room window. They had woven together a heartfelt tapestry, showcasing the impact of their center, not just focusing on financials, but on the love it cultivated. With the proposal taking shape, a knock on the door interrupted their flow. It was Mr. Thompson, the town mayor. "I heard you were working on something important," he said, eyes glinting with curiosity. "Mind if I join?" Lily's heart raced. Mr. Thompson had been a staunch supporter of the center, and his presence could provide valuable insight. They welcomed him in, and as the conversation shifted to the proposal, she could see the mayor's enthusiasm grow with each story they shared. As they discussed visions and dreams, a sudden chirp from Lily's phone startled everyone. "Guys, it's the deadline reminder for the grant application submission," she gasped. Panic rose, and suddenly the room felt smaller. Would they finish in time? What they didn't see. The stakes had never been higher. With moments slipping away, they had to find a way to crystallize their message, to throw off the weight of doubt and embrace their collective story. As that urgency flooded the room, Lily felt a pulse of determination surge again. They couldn't allow fear to waver their resolve. "We have to do this. We can turn our hearts into words and let them see what this center is truly about." But could they capture everything they had experienced together? Did they have enough time to hone their vision before it was too late? As the walls closed in with the pressure of the deadline, they took a collective breath. Their dreams hung in the balance, poised to either bloom beautifully or wither away. The air crackled with unspoken hopes and fears. How would they find a way to share not just their intentions, but the very soul of their community? The room buzzed with the weight of their task. Lily could feel the adrenaline coursing through her veins as she opened her laptop. Time was slipping through their fingers, but she knew they were on the brink of something powerful. "Okay, let us make it count," she said, her voice steady despite the racing of her heart. "We need to create a narrative that reflects everything this center stands for." Mrs. Jenkins nodded, her wise eyes sparkling with reassurance. "We'll take each photograph and each story and weave them into something that feels alive. It's not just data, it's about people." "Exactly," Henry chimed in. "Let us go through the most impactful moments captured here." As they spread the photographs across the table, each image sparked vibrant memories. They chose to focus on a particular event, a bakery workshop, that helped children discover their passion for cooking. The stories poured out like the flour from the open bags beside them. "Remember when Timmy made that chocolate cake and it collapsed?" Lily chuckled, her eyes lighting up at the memory. His face was priceless. And how everyone celebrated his bounce back with a cake decorating contest later that month. Mrs. Jenkins added, the warmth of her smile embracing the room. They captured each emotion, every laugh and tear as they wrote. Just as they felt they had it all down, Mr. Thompson leaned forward, excitement in his voice. What if we included a quote from one of the parents? Personal stories that show the true impact. Lily stepped back and gasped. Yes, if we can get voices that reflect the heart of this place, the committee will have no choice but to listen. Henry hurriedly reached for his phone. I'll call Ms. Garcia. She has been so involved, and her son really blossomed here. She had tears of joy when she spoke about the center. Lily took a deep breath and glanced at the clock. There were still just moments left. The deadline felt like a storm looming over them. She turned to her team, determination etched into her features. Let us do it. We can't rush this, but we shouldn't hold back. Let us bring every ounce of passion into this. With renewed energy, they divided tasks. Henry into the other room to make the call, while Mrs. Jenkins and Lily tidied up their proposal draft. Each keystroke felt monumental, weighty with hope and vision. They had formed something beautiful, a story that could transcend a mundane request for funding. But just as their spirits began to soar, a knock on the door startled them. Lily's heart sank. Had they forgotten to close the door? A doubt crept into her mind. What if it was someone to add more pressure? Lily shot a glance at Mrs. Jenkins, who urged her to answer. With each cautious step toward the door, fear gripped her. It swung open, revealing a figure she hadn't expected. Helen, a former center participant who had faced her own struggles, now glowing with pride after having opened her own bakery. Lily, I heard you were up here working on a grant proposal, Helen said, her voice strong. I want to help. Can I be part of your story? Lily's heart soared. Yes. Yes, of course. Your journey is exactly what we need. As Helen stepped inside, bringing with her an aura of triumph and resilience, Lily felt a fresh wave of inspiration crash over her. They were not alone in this. Their mission was becoming a tapestry woven through lives interconnected, all pushing for the same goal. But as they welcomed her, another knock echoed. Lily exchanged worried glances with Henry and Mrs. Jenkins. What other surprises awaited them? How many more stories were about to intertwine with their own? The air hung thick with anticipation. Lily's heart raced again as the second knock sounded sharper than the first. She couldn't shake the feeling that her pulse was somehow connected to whatever the universe was about to throw at them. Was it someone else with a story? Or was it trouble knocking at their door? Should I? Henry started, looking between the door and the group, but Mrs. Jenkins nodded toward it. Let's see who it is. When Lily opened the door, she met the intense gaze of a young girl, maybe 10 years old, with tangled hair and bright, hopeful eyes. There was something about her that struck Lily deeply, a brave spirit hiding behind a worn-out jacket. Hi, the girl said, her voice tiny but clear. I heard people talking about stories. Can I share mine too? Lily felt a wave of warmth wash over her, but it mingled with a tug of concern. Of course. Mean. The girl hesitated for a moment, taking in the scattered photographs and the hopeful energy buzzing in the room. Finally, she stepped inside, and her eyes landed on Helen, who smiled back encouragingly. What's your name? Lily asked, pulling over a chair for her. It's Emma, she said shyly, her hands fidgeting with the sleeves of her jacket. All right, Emma, what story do you want to tell? Lily gently prompted, her heart swelling with curiosity. Emma took a deep breath, grounding herself. Well, I used to go to the center too. I've been living with my aunt since my mom lost her job. She doesn't always have enough. We sometimes run out of food. Lily's heart ached for the girl, but Emma continued, her words flowing with surprising courage. But the bakery class taught me how to make bread. At first, it was just for our big family. Now I make it for other neighbors who can't afford groceries. Mrs. Jenkins beamed. That is incredible, Emma. You're helping your community. Emma's beam was infectious. My aunt says that when we help others, we help ourselves. It's like magic. She glanced down, a hint of sadness creeping back in. But I don't know if I should keep doing it. We barely have enough ourselves. Before Lily could reply, Henry's voice filled the room. You're doing an amazing thing, Emma, and it sounds like your aunt is really proud of you. Lily's eyes sparkled. What if we shared your story with a grant proposal? It would show just how impactful this center is. Emma's eyes widened, a mixture of surprise and hope. Really? You think it would help? I know it would. Your voice matters, Mrs. Jenkins assured her. Emma hesitated, then smiled. I would love to share. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted. The burden of their task lightened, filled with new possibility. Here was a kid, already carrying so much on her shoulders, yet she was lifting others too. But with this new inspiration came another knock at the door. This time, it felt heavier. What could they possibly face now? Each rap on the door echoed like a heartbeat, threatening to pull the room back into uncertainty. What if it's someone with an even bigger story? Lily whispered, the air thick with nervous excitement. As they turned back to greet the next visitor, questions swirled in Lily's mind. What other journeys were waiting to be revealed? And how many more transformations would this proposal illuminate? The moment felt electric, as if all their hopes had collided in this very room. The door creaked open once more, and Lily took a deep breath, preparing for what might come next. The door opened to reveal a tall, broad-shouldered man, dressed in work clothes smeared with paint. It was Ben, a local artist known for his murals and for his love of the community. Hey, I heard you're back here, he said, his energy infectious. I want to help with the center. I've seen the difference it can make. Lily felt an electric jolt of joy. Really? You want to be a part of this? Absolutely. Ben grinned, stepping into the warmth of the room, his presence a swirling tide of enthusiasm. I can offer art workshops. Creativity can pull people together, help them express themselves, heal. Emma's eyes sparkled. You'd help me with painting? She asked, her voice brightened by the prospect of her own artistic journey. Sure, Ben nodded. We could create a big mural telling the stories of everyone in the center, a giant tapestry of our dreams. At that moment, it felt like the very walls of the room were vibrating with a life that was all at once uplifting and grounding. Each new story intertwined with the growing mission, each voice echoing the very purpose they all shared. Lily turned to her team, her heart swelling. This is what it's all about. Together, we are building something real. Just then, the door swung open again. It was Mrs. Morales, a beloved community leader known for her compassionate heart and fierce dedication to the youth. I heard there's magic happening in here, and I'll lend my voice too. Lily could hardly contain her excitement. Yes, please. We were just talking about a mural and art workshops. Can you help us connect with more kids? Of course. Mrs. Morales beamed. We could start a youth council, empowering kids to take action and lead initiatives for themselves. As vibrations of optimism resonated through the room, the conversations grew fast and full, each head nodding, laughter resonating off the walls. Their dreams began to intertwine like the threads of an intricate tapestry, each piece as vital as the next. Meanwhile, the clock was still ticking, the deadline racing towards them like a freight train. Lily felt the urgency pulse through her, but this time it was different. Every person here was passion-driven, their hearts warmed by a shared vision, knitting together pieces of a future that felt right. Okay, let us do this, Lily said, exhilarated as she glanced at each face gathered around her. We need to capture all this energy, unite our stories. Let us combine them into an extraordinary proposal, one that showcases not just community struggles, but triumphs. With each table cleared for action, they dove into writing. Everyone contributed their heart-bend sketch designs for the mural, while Emma shared her rich story. Each word she wrote felt like a seed being planted, watering the hopes of the community awaiting to blossom. As they crafted each sentence, laughter erupted often, slicing through tension. This is going to be glorious. I can feel it, Ben said as he doodled fantastically beside Emma's notes. But amidst the excitement, doubt snuck in again as the clock steadily ticked down. Would they finish in time? With the deadline looming like a thunderstorm, Lily took a deep breath. What if we present it as a living document? Something will continue to grow through everyone's input, she suggested. Brilliant. Henry chimed in. That way, it won't just be a proposal. It'll be a reflection of everyone's dreams. With that, they renewed their energy, narrating not just numbers and statistics, but community love and resilience. They captured laughter, struggles, and triumphs, threading them through their message, creating a proposal not just for a grant, but for a future built on unity. Finally, the clock chimed ominously, signaling the deadline. One last review, quick, Lily urged, but each glance at the document brought smiles. It pulsed with authenticity, each word radiating the spirit of community. When they submitted it, it felt like releasing a firework into the night sky, bright and bold, a representation of hope, care, and determination. As they stepped back, all the faces turned toward her, filled with anticipation. "We did it." Lily's voice cracked with emotion. "We came together and created something beautiful." Emma piped up, "Can we paint that mural now?" Everyone laughed, the weight lifted and replaced with a shared enthusiasm. There was work to do ahead, of course, but for now, they reveled in the sweet taste of accomplishment, the laughter embedding itself into every heart, the joyful sound of lives intertwined, ready to forge a path toward a bright future. It wouldn't be easy, but they had a vision, a community wrapped around them like a loving embrace, ready to inspire, support, and uplift one another for days to come. And standing there, the joy flooding her heart, Lily finally understood that together, they had ignited not just hope, but a vital spark, proof that even the most disparate lives could light up a world. This was only the beginning, but a powerful beginning. It was full of promise and possibility. Now, let's make this moment count. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support and be part of something big. Leave a like now to fuel the algorithm and help us reach more hearts. Tell us how you felt about this transformation in the comments below. Your thoughts matter. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible journey. Together, we can inspire change and hope. Let's spread this message far and wide.